Welcome to the session on advanced tips and tricks for admins. My name is David Lee. I am the Director of Product Management at Box, so I head up the product management team. I've been at Box for about 3 years. Prior to that, I worked at WebEx and Yahoo. And again, this is a session for admins, so just sort of by show of hands, how many of you are actually Box admins? Great, so you're in the right room. How many of you are relatively new Box admins, say a month or less? Oh wow, okay, that's great. So other than this session, there's actually other sessions in the next block that discusses security and also how to manage your content taxonomy to make the best use out of Box. So I encourage you to attend those, especially if you're relatively new to Box. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit. I actually don't have a lot of slides. Most of this will be a demo. So I want to keep it kind of open. So if you have questions, just raise your hand and fire away, and I'll answer the best I can. I think we also have some folks from client services in the back, so they might be able to help out as well. All right. Okay, so there are 3 areas I want to talk about. The amount of control that Box gives you is actually can be surprising for some folks because per Box's sort of underlying DNA, we really try to make the entire interface as intuitive, as easy as possible, which means for the most part we make the interface very simplified and we kind of hide sort of more advanced features underneath. And this is true even for the admin console. So there are certain things that folks just are not aware of, and that's what I'm going to talk about. Now, some of you, I'm sure, are using our branding capability, and a lot of you are probably just using the basic stuff. I'll talk a little bit about how you can pimp your crib a bit more than what the initial sort of flow takes you through. And last thing, I want to talk about a very specific feature that most of our customers are not aware of. It would be very useful for those of you that deal with accounting situations or chargeback situations. It's a very useful tool for monitoring usage of Box. Okay, so at this point, I am going to switch over to a web browser. And I want to talk about a few features that you may not be aware of. So as an admin, you have a clear view of your users. Right, so I'm in my admin console, and if you go to the users tab, you have this managed user versus external user concept. If you're not aware, managed users are just seats that you manage directly, so you have full control over them. You have the power of God over them, basically. You can delete their content, you can delete the user, you can do lots of things with them. Now, the power of Box, of course, is that your users can easily bring in people from outside to collaborate with you. And those people coming in, they can get a free seat, and they are not charged for doing that activity. You as an admin actually have insight into who those people are, and you have a certain level of control over them as well. Okay, so if you go to the external users tab, you will see a list of users that's collaborating with your managed users. Let me kind of switch this around. Aaron obviously will be one of my earliest collaboration. But if you look at this, you get a sort of an at-a-glance view of folks who are interacting with your enterprise. Okay, there's a couple pieces of very interesting information for you. For example, Sean Rose here, I know that he is collaborating in one of the folders I manage called Provisioning and Deprovisioning APIs. And I know that Sean was added to my enterprise on September 6th. Okay, so this gives you some information about who and how they kind of came into your network. Now, if you are not aware who Sean Rose is, or you want to manage Sean a bit better, there's a few tools. You can remove Sean completely from your network. So Sean could be collaborating with multiple users in your network across multiple folders. If this person is not supposed to be in here, you can just remove them straight away. You can also do a sort of a selective editing of their capabilities. Oops, what just happened? Okay, am I losing internet here? Okay, this is kind of what I'm afraid of, which is why I have a backup. these demos, it's always dealing with internet is always a concern. So if you click change user settings, you actually will see all the folders that this person is in within your enterprise, and you can selectively take them out of folders that you think might be kind of sensitive. Okay? Now there's another setting, and let's hope this actually works. For those of you that may not want these external users to kind of stay within your network extensively, we actually have tools for you to set up rules so that they are not sort of persistently within your enterprise. So if you go to, I believe it's here. Under security auto expiration, you can set up rules so that external users are automatically removed after a certain number of days. Okay, so if you know that when people are being brought in from the outside for specific projects and this never really lasts more than 90 days, you can set up a rule that, you know, after 120 days, these folks are automatically taken out of your system. Okay. Any questions on that? Yes.
So when you set this up, I'm assuming the collaborators will get an email when they're about to be removed?
That's correct.
And then can they ask to be extended at that point?
Yes, so the question was, if you set this up, are there notifications to users who are about to remove, and are there ways to extend that? Yes, there's actually several controls in here that will allow your folder owners, right, it doesn't have to rely on you. You can have your folder owners do that extension, and they'll get a warning on the sort of a pending item management panel on the right-hand side, top right-hand side in their interface that says, Joe Smith is about to be removed in 6 days. Would you like to extend their stay within your environment? So that capability is there, yes.
Any thought to adding a class like partners that's an ongoing one, and then have your default be more just people that I add randomly?
The question was, are there plans for sort of a class-based way to manage people coming from the outside, or maybe different type of classes? There's certainly discussions about doing that. We actually have plans to bring the extended group feature, which is currently only available to the admin, into the end user environment, and allow end users to kind of manage groups that make sense to them and apply some of these rules. So that's something we're looking at doing, yes. Anything else?
Can I just see which tab you're in again?
Yeah, this is I'm sorry, it's the content and collaboration tab, not the security tab. And by the way, I have a deck on this, which I believe will be made available to everyone afterwards. The deck has the actual screenshots of the tabs. Okay. So the other thing, I was just talking to one of our customers earlier about sort of the need to control your taxonomy more tightly. You know, we sort of have different types of customers. We have customers who bring Box in and really just kind of distribute to their users as a way to do collaboration on their own, not tightly controlled by admin, and they're not really, relying on a very shared kind of content taxonomy. Now, in that case, you don't need to do much as an admin other than kind of monitor usage. But if your use is really a more shared taxonomy, and you don't want scenarios where you have people who are creating 10 different marketing folders, right, and all of them are supposed to be source of truth, you actually can lock down that setup so that only you as an admin or your code admins can create the folder taxonomy for the rest of the users. Okay, and the way to do that is you go to the content and collaboration area, and you just check this restrict content creation checkbox. And once you do this, only admins can create the root level folders, and you will prevent sort of this sprawl of different folders, of people creating their own versions of marketing, their own versions of sales, and et cetera. Okay? Now the last piece I just really want to touch on is, if you are an admin that's always responding to tickets about folks who want to be added to Box and it's becoming sort of overwhelming for you, we actually do have a self-join system that you can turn on. So if you go to security, and I already checked it earlier, but checking this self-sign-up checkbox, what it does is under your domain on Box, so for example, acme.box.net, a /join page would become available, and you can hand that out to your users, post it on your intranet as a bulletin, in an email, whatever case might be, and they can go there and sign up for the account on their own. Furthermore, you can dictate that only people who come in with a email domain that's the same as yours actually can successfully sign up.
And that would count as a license towards the yearly billing as well?
Yes, so these will be managed users. Again, the whole power of God concept, you have complete control over them. So they will use up a license. Okay? So those are sort of some of the control features that we have. It's not everything we do, but just kind of give you a flavor of the things that Box does enable admins to monitor and oversee. So the other really popular feature on Box is, of course, branding. Now, branding allows you to present your brand to your customers, to your partners, to your vendors. And Box, is still there, but it's a very sort of a minimal presence on your interface. And if you ever, especially for the new admins out there, you probably kind of walk through the little wizard in the beginning of the experience that says, hey, we have these kind of pre-made color schemes that you can use and brand your account, and of course upload the logo and all that. I want to talk about a few things beyond those basic features, which is that you actually can specify down to the hex value 6 different elements around the interface. And we have a handy little key here that shows you exactly what those 6 colors will affect. Everything from the header background to the text color to some of these other elements around the header area. And this is really the part of Box that has the colorfulness to it that you can use to brand your interface. Okay. A few other things that you may not be aware of is you can also brand the login page, which is what most people will see after they first log into Box, and then we set a cookie, so next time they come back, they'll go back to that same login page again. That login page is often branded by companies who want to convey specific messages to their users at the time they log in, including kind of legalese kind of language, if they have specific things they want to say to their customers. And another handy tool is that you can brand the footer area, and this has ability for you to put in custom text and a custom link. And you can really do anything you want with this, but one use case that we see that's pretty popular is if you're an IT org that wants to redirect your users to their, your own internal call center before they reach out to the Box support team. And for example, here I have it set up so that I think this goes to a product roadmap folder for Box. And finally, you can do a similar thing on email signature. So all the system emails that we send out has your custom signature rather than ours. Okay, any questions on that? Yes?
Any plans to roll that adapted user interface through to the mobile app, so iPad will then inherit that same color scheme?
So the question was about if the custom branding capability would be extended to mobile. It's a very good question. We're actually debating that internally right now. There's various ways to do it, and we want to kind of evolve our mobile applications a bit more before taking those kind of things on, because it may require us to look at the kind of the intersection between native applications and more HTML-based applications. So we need to kind of sort that out before we can really extend kind of branding capabilities.
And another branding question about extending branding towards emails that you're sending externally. So if you're sending links and other tasks to people to complete, making sure that you can brand that email to say your company's logo as opposed to Box.
Okay, so the question was about putting your company's logos on emails. I believe some of the emails already do that. So the invite, the collaboration invite email, as well as the page that they land on after clicking that, I think already will have your logo. And this is something we just rolled out, I think, a couple of quarters ago. Based on requests such as that, we're gonna probably put those kind of branding capability into more emails. One of the issues with that, of course, a lot of email systems will automatically block out images and things like that. So I think our initial branding capability is just it's an HTML-based email, and we'll take your branding color into the email. I think there's another question in the back.
You kind of touched on what she said. I was going to ask about adding like your own personal logo, or even if you can add it to the control panel, so to speak. Is that that's doable now, or if it's going to be a feature in the future?
Let me see if I understand your question. You would like to?
Adding a logo. It was about adding a logo as well to like your own, like when you log into your own.
Okay. So the question was about adding logos to sort of the login interface and the overall interface. That capability is already there. I probably should have actually done that here. I used to have a custom box logo with a little bunny on it. So it shows up on this page, on all the end user pages, and also on the login page. But yeah, this is something we definitely, it's a very popular feature and it's already there. Yes?
Are there plans to email signatures that allow users to customize their own? Because I've had a few users ask me, do they have their own information set all the time?
Oh, interesting. Okay, so the question was about would there be a feature in the future where end users themselves can customize their own signature if emails goes out? I have to tell you, honestly, that's the first time I've heard of that request, so maybe we can chat a little bit afterwards to understand that a little bit more. Okay, anything else? Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is pretty much a hidden feature, but could be a gem for some of you, especially for those of you that come from larger companies that deal with departmental chargebacks for vendor purchases such as ours, right? So we have a system called tracking code, which in other systems you might have heard them refer to as billing code. And what it is a way to tag your users with a specific label, and that label will show up on reports that you can get from our reporting system, and on sort of a monthly or whatever, quarterly or whatever time frame you have, you can run a report and look for how many users have been using Box against a certain code. An example would be, say, a department billing code, or maybe a specific project ID that's related to one of your clients or some project you're working on. So if you have a need to do departmental chargebacks because of your accounting practices in the company, or you need to be able to say to a client, as part of this project, I used this resource called Box specifically for you for this much. You can use the tracking code system to track that. Okay, and the way it works is relatively simplistic. You go to the user settings tab, and on the very bottom there's this user tracking code section. It's got a set of instructions there, and in this example, I've set up two codes. One is the department billing code, and the other is project ID. Once you set this up, when you go to one of your users, when you administer one of your users, you'll see the same labels against their profile, and here you can fill in, a code that matches this person's role. So maybe this person is in the marketing department, something like that. Okay, or if you have a project ID related to a client, you can punch that in as well. And once you have that, if you go to reports, you'll see the same codes presented here in the interface. Okay, so, oops. And you can run a report against specific codes. So for example, I want to see how many users who has a prod 5543 as a tracking code has been using Box since August.
Can you bulk upload those codes?
Today you cannot. So this is sort of a V1 of the system. We're definitely looking for customer feedback to see how sophisticated this needs to be.
What was the question?
Sorry, the question was, can you bulk upload these codes? And the answer is no right now, but depending on customer demand, those are the kind of things we want to look for. Yes?
Can you control that for the external users as well? Or is it
So the question was, can you apply this to external users? Today you cannot. Today this is a managed user tool. We have some plans originally to extend this to pretty much anybody who's coming in, and even as part of the sort of the self-sign-up process. Again, we're kind of looking for customer feedback to see what's sort of the right next step to take this. Yes.
Yeah, if you could, on the self-sign-up, if you could allow us to make that a required field.
A required, yes. So the suggestion was, can we make this a required field? Today it is an optional field. We kind of made, again, this is sort of a V1 version of this. Given enough requests, that is sort of the obvious next thing. I've worked on a similar system when I was with WebEx, and it has a lot of sort of flexibility around requirement and optional and pre-fills and all that. Yes?
How about the same thing at the folder level?
At the folder level. Okay. Question was around assigning these at a folder level. We have not heard that request before, so maybe I can talk to you. Also get a better understanding of what that use case might be. Okay. Question back.
Could you also add multiple projects to a specific user?
The question was, can you add multiple projects to a specific user? I believe it is, you cannot today. But that's an interesting use case. Obviously, you could work on multiple projects at the same time. Was there a question up front?
Yeah, is this something you need to have enabled for your account? It's not
No, this is, the question was, does this need to be enabled by your account manager? No, this is automatically there for enterprise customers.
Do your APIs allow enterprises to automatically sign people up one at a time? So if we have our own internal provisioning where they sign up and give us a charge code, can we then use your APIs to actually put them in the system?
Okay, so the question is I think it's twofold. One is we have APIs for provisioning users, and the second is, does that API allow you to populate these codes? So the answer to the first question is yes. We do have APIs for provisioning, and I believe today or later this week we're going to roll out a V2 version that gives you deeper feature set. But no, right now that API does not handle charging codes. Okay. All right, so I think that was the last of my points, and looks like we have a few minutes left. So I have sort of an optional thing I want to go over with you guys. And this is sort of a preview of a feature that's coming down the line later. You heard Aaron this morning talk about a lot of the exciting features we're building in the next few quarters. One of them that he didn't really get to is something called, well, we're calling it right now a global content manager, but it's something we probably need to put a better, sexier name on top of. And I just want to give you a sneak peek, and probably not the best forum to get a lot of feedback, but maybe after this session I can chat with some of you if you want to get to know this feature a little bit more or participate in maybe some of our usability testing around this. So let me describe this really quick. What the Global Content Manager enables an admin to do is manage all the content that their managed users own from one interface. Okay, so today the way to do this is you go to the user panel and then you kind of do an instant login to their account, and then you can do management that way. It works for most folks. It's a little bit cumbersome, right? And also it's difficult to move things between accounts if you need to. So we've been designing and working on this for a while, and it's a relatively complex system because we're aggregating everyone's information together. But we're very excited. And we hope to get this out later this quarter or early 2012. And what you see here is an interface that's very similar to the All Files interface, except it's an admin. And on the left-hand side, you see the list of your users that's in your account. And if you expand them, you will see all the folders that they own. Okay. Within this, you have, again, very similar feature. You see the end user view, but at a glance, you can change their access and you can move things around as you like. Okay. Yes, question?
For collaboration folders, or will you also be able to see owner private folders as well?
So the plan is to make it work for all folders. There's maybe some design details about, at a glance, what do you see first and what do you see second, and those things are still being worked out. So the question was, would you be able to see both private and collaborative folders? The end goal is to show both of them at the same time. We will also, and I'm not sure if this is coming out this year or next year, but we plan on putting in sort of a global search feature. So again, you can do kind of globalized search throughout your entire account. Okay, question in the back. Are you talking about co-admins? Okay, so the question was, will co-admins be able to use this? Absolutely. So there may be some limitations based on, we have another concept called group admin, right? So group admins may only be able to see the stuff under their group. But other than that, yes, co-admins will be able to see all of this. That is the plan, yes. Okay, I believe we are out of time. So thank you very much for attending this. I really enjoyed giving a talk. And any of you who wants to chat with me, just find me afterwards, maybe outside in the hallway. Okay, thanks.